Hey, it's Ramsey Dewey over here in Shanghai, China. Today I'm going to comment on a comment that I got from Kevin Gray, who left this awesome comment. He says, the problem with boxing and MMA is the obsession with fight records. Yeah, let's get into this. Sure, a 15-5 record looks good, but if you started the same fighter against heavier opposition earlier, he might only be 10-10. And then you get people talking about a legacy being tarnished in quotes, by poor performance near retirement, as though that in any way detracts from previous accomplishments. And yes, Kevin Gray, you are absolutely right. That is such a salient point you just made. Ooh, I love it. I love it, man. There was a French fighter, I forget his name, but he had a pretty good-looking MMA record on paper. He'd won most of his fights, very few losses, and I think he was fighting for ONE FC at the time. Might have been a different organization, I don't remember, but he got matched up with Shinya Aoki, who on paper had the same record. So a casual fan would think, oh, these guys are practically even in every way, and Shinya Aoki, if you don't know who that is a legendary Japanese submission specialist who's a really, really good fighter. And everybody in the industry looking at this fight, understanding where these two fighters were coming from, were like, this fight it's not going to go well for this French fighter. It is not. And the casuals thought, well, the MMA Math, look, similar fight records, similar numbers, therefore it should be a compelling fight. And it wasn't. And Shinya Aoki comes out and takes the dude down pretty quickly and taps him out and makes it look very easy and kind of makes the guy look like an amateur. He wasn't. He was a pro fighter. Right? In other circumstances with other fighters with different experience, he had done very well for himself. But against the level of competition represented by Shinya Aoki, no. No, man. And you see this with many, many fighters. I was having a conversation today with my buddy Red Chucks. Go check out his channel, Red Chucks. He's got some great concrete breaking demos and some great conversations if you like listening to talking head videos about life and philosophy and the art of being a man and great stuff like that. Go check out Red Chucks. But we're talking today about Rocky Marciano. Rocky Marciano is one of my favorite boxers. Every time I watch one of his old fights, every time I even watch a highlight video of this guy, it's not just inspiring, it is educational in so many ways. So we're talking about Rocky Marciano, and he had, for the longest time, this unbeaten record. And not just undefeated, but fighting the stiffest, steepest, hardest competition. Like, he wasn't beating up a bunch of soup cans. He was beating the best of the best to get that record. And then Floyd Mayweather comes along, and he fights Conor McGregor. See, he ties Rocky Marciano's record, and he fights Conor McGregor, who, in MMA, that's not nothing, but in boxing, his first boxing match ever, and this win over Conor McGregor, we all knew it would happen. We all knew Floyd was going to win that fight, no questions about it. It was just a matter of when and how. Let's just put it out there, it wasn't the steepest competition in boxing Floyd could have faced to break the legendary record of Rocky Marciano. And yet, we have to say that, looking at the numbers, strictly the numbers, that Floyd's record is now better than Rocky Marciano's. Is it really, though? Is it really, though? When he won that fight, I cringed inside. Not because of that fight, not because of what it represented, but because I was thinking about Rocky Marciano. I was thinking about this legendary fighter, all he accomplished, and how his record is technically beaten now because of this, essentially an exhibition fight. And that sucks, and I hate that. I hate that, man. When I was coming up as a young fighter, as a young professional fighter, I took every single fight put in front of me. I didn't care about carefully managing my career. If I could go back in time, maybe I would. I'd give my younger self some advice and say no to some of these fights. Take fights at your level until your level increases, as opposed to fighting some killers early on that, man, ultimately shortened my career considerably and then ended it. There's a video on the internet you can see on the ESPN Star Sports channel. That's basically ESPN Asia. Of me getting my butt kicked by Leandro Issa. He's a UFC veteran. He is a former Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu world champion several times over. He's a third-degree Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. He was at one time a 1FC champion. And I fought this guy. 30 pounds dehydrated. I fought this guy not expecting to fight this guy. And it didn't go well. This was not a good fight for me. This was not an evenly matched opponent. And many of the comments in the comments section go something like this. You suck. You lost to a bum. You suck. Because people don't see the backstory. They don't see the experience. They don't see the third-degree black belt or the world championship or the 1FC championship or the UFC career or any of that. They just see, you're a bum because you lost a fight. Because people like MMA Math. They like math. That's where you look at fight records and you add up numbers in ways that make sense after doing some mental gymnastics in your mind and ignoring present realities about what a fight is and what skill sets are and what experiences are. And you convince yourself that those numbers mean something that they don't. So I could have gone out there and fought a bunch of soup cans and accrued a perfect record. A perfect record. And impressed people who are easily impressed with math. That's MMA Math. But I did what I did. I took every fight that was put in front of me because I needed the money. That's why I got into professional fighting in the first place, because I needed the money. And when I was offered a contract with dollar signs behind it, I took it. And unfortunately, many fighters fall into that category as well, the ham and egger. Fighting for food, for a plate of ham and eggs, if you will, as the old-time expression goes. And then you got guys like Floyd, who right now is taking fights, well, throughout his entire career, taking fights based on how much he can get, but right now, taking fights specifically to make ridiculous, filthy sums of money. Fights with zero risk behind them. He's going to fight that Paul kid. Is it Logan Paul, Jake Paul? I don't know. I don't care. Floyd's going to fight one of those. There's zero risk for Floyd going into this fight, man. Let's be honest. Let's be frank about that. He's not taking a physical risk. This fight will not tarnish his record if it goes south for whatever reason. But he is going to come out of that a ridiculously wealthy man, much more so than he is already. So yeah, my friend, fight records, we care too much about them. Why do I love Rocky Marciano so much? Is it because of his perfect fight record? No, it's because of his perfect fights. Because of his perfect fights, man. You look at the way that dude fought, there's something about that that's just so beautiful. His beautiful mastery of violence in the ring, the artistry behind it. If anybody ever tells you boxing isn't a martial art, point them in the direction of Rocky Marciano. Have them take a look at that. And if they're not weeping at the art, the beautiful art that they have just witnessed, they have no soul. Thank you for watching. Now get out there and train. If you like the gear I use in my videos, find it at xmartial.com. xmartial.com for rash guards, spats, shorts, and more. At xmartial.com, you'll find a wide variety of clothing designs and sport-specific training equipment for mixed martial arts, no-gi Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, boxing, wrestling, and Muay Thai. So, go check out our friends at xmartial.com, and don't forget to use my code Ramsey10 for 10% off everything on the website. It helps out this channel a lot. Thanks again.